How's it going, guys? So a good friend of mine had asked me, how do you create a cutscene in Scraps? So this is actually a fairly simple process. The first thing I did was I actually looked for the player camera and I duplicated this. The reason why I do this is because I want to keep all these settings the same. So once I've duplicated, it'll say camera 1, I just move it inside my level. So once I have that in here, I just set it as inactive. And the reason why I want to do this is because whenever this is active, this will change what the player sees, or at least it should. So once you've done that, you need to figure out what is going to be activating the camera. In this case, I'm just going to use this fuse over here. Let's see, let me go ahead and close that out. It's the second one that actually gets active, which I already have the script open. So that'll be easy for me to show you. There we go. Let me go back to this camera preview. I'm going to turn that off. And you can actually see it change over here. Alright, so as y'all know, I hate the stuff here in the middle. I absolutely despise it. So the first thing I'm going to do is say public game object cam. And what we're going to do is we're going to say start. And in here, we're going to say cam.setActive, and this is going to be true. After we have done this, we're actually going to say start coroutine, and we'll just call this cam deactive. I don't know. It'll work. So after that, we need to say enumerator, if I can type, and the name of this is going to be the exact same as it is right here. So we're going to say cam deactive. I don't know why I didn't just say deactivate, but okay. So the reason why we're getting this red squiggly line is because we don't have a coroutine. So we're going to change that now. So we're going to type in, if I can type, yield return new, wait 4 seconds, and we'll just say timer. So now we need to create a public float timer. And the reason why I'm making this a float is because I want to be able to change it, like if I want to say 2.3 seconds or whatever. So whatever value's in here, these are going to be in seconds. So essentially you could just say 3. You could say 2.5F. You could say any one of those. But in case you don't like the timing, you can easily change it within the editor, and this can save you some time instead of having to wait for the script to compile each time. So after we have done that, we're going to say cam.setActive, and then it will be false. So let's go ahead and save the script. And because I've already made my changes in here, once this is done compiling down here, I'm going to go ahead and save it. There we go. And the next thing I need to do is I actually need to find the fuse 2. Come on, you can do it. So let's see, fuse 2, I know it's here somewhere, right here. I'm going to come back down here. I'm going to drag my camera cutscene onto this script. We're going to say 2 seconds. So we should see it switch cameras for 2 seconds, then it should go back to the Scraps camera. So let's go ahead and test that on out. Before I do, I'm going to go into create lights. I'm just going to say directional light. This way you'll be able to see everything a lot easier. And I'm going to turn off. Oh, there are no shadows. Okay, that works. So if I play this, we should be able to see it switch after I pop that fuse in. And then after 2 seconds, it should switch back. So we'll wait for this to load. Test this out, and we'll see if it crashes my computer or not. Now, I have had issues doing this in the past. Because this is a really simple script, I don't suspect that we'll run into that. And it helps if I push the right key. So let me just pick this guy up. We'll run it over here. So there's the camera, and then it switches back. So that's a way you can set up a static camera. Let's say you're thinking, but Jimmy, how do I make the camera go back to the player? Well, that's actually fairly easy to do. So is what we're going to do is we're going to need to say, first of all, we're going to need a public float, and let's just call this speed. Next thing we're going to need is a private float, start time, and you know what, we'll just do like this. There we go. So after we have done that, is what we're going to do is we're going to say, let me think about this. We'll say start time equals time dot delta time. Next thing we need to do is, I'm trying to think how I want to do this. Oh wait, we also need transforms. Public transform start marker, public transform end marker. There we go. And we should also have, actually, we don't really need an end time, but we do need a, we definitely don't need an end time, but we do need a, we need a length. Let's just call this camdist. We're going to need to call that, so let's go ahead and say camdist equals, and this is going to be a vector3 dot distance. Then we're going to say start marker dot position. Then we'll say end marker dot position, and blah. Alright, so now is what we need to do is we need to be able to call this for whenever it starts, which because it's automatically set to active, it's automatically going to be called. So as soon as it's active, it's going to start doing all of this. So from here we can just simply say update. We do not have update. Why do we not have update? So update. Oh, come on, Unity. Why do you do this to me? So we're going to say float dist covered, and we're going to make this equal to time dot delta time, and this will be subtracted from start time. From there we'll just say, we'll multiply that with speed. And then, let me think about this. We're actually going to need another float, I think. Let me think about this. Because if we just do a transform dot position, and we equal that to a vector3 dot lerp, say start marker dot position, and marker dot position. Let me think. I don't know if I want to. I'm just going to say okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I kind of want to create another float so I can utilize this distance covered. I was actually just going to type that in. So I'm going to create another float, and we're going to call this journey. And that's going to equal distance covered divided by camdist. So now we will just simply say journey. So now we need to come up here and we need to actually set our speed. It's actually going to be kind of imperative. So I'm going to want it to move kind of fast. I don't know how fast, but I'm going to want it to move kind of fast. So I'm going to hit play. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's going to get a null reference exception. So I'll wait for that to finish loading and realizing I'm an idiot, because we have no start marker or end marker. So one thing we can do, and this will actually save me some time, I'm going to say transform.translate. Actually, no, I won't. So what I am going to say is I'm going to create a private bool setCam. We're going to say down here, before we do that, cam equals false. This will make sense here in just a second. setCam. 0.655 F 0.6504 F, and this will be negative 0.4239 F, not space 0. There we go. So basically, is what's going to happen is right before it gets set to be inactive, as a false statement, it's going to come back to this position. So it will always come back to this. So this should work. I don't see why it wouldn't. It should work. So, yeah, let's go and give it a test. And I'm thinking, let's go ahead and set the speed to, I'm going to say 10. It should be quick enough. Basically, with where the player's at, I'm going to want to at least go through that room. And the start marker will be itself. You can also, if this looks kind of weird, and it may look weird, you can also always have it. Oops. Oh, come on. Just give me the transform. Give me the transform component of something. What? Okay, that sucks. Nope. Okay, wow, so I can't... Wow, that is, like, really crappy. Huh. I was really hoping maybe I could grab something from here, like the character or something, but I don't think it's going to let me. That is really weird. That won't let me take a transform component, because if I duplicate this, I know I can grab it. You know what? I think it's because I don't recommend doing this, but I'm just doing this as a quick test. If I have to, I will work around this. And I'll show you how to work around this. Let me just see if this... Ah, okay, that's why. So the reason why that's not working for me a second ago is because of the fact that this is actually in a different scene. So let me actually just move that back here. There we go. So because that's in a different scene, is what I'm actually going to need to do is move that, just move that up here. I'm actually going to move the camera up here. And let's see if this completely breaks it. Yeah, so we can't cross-reference scenes. That actually really sucks. Let me think of a way. Is what you could do is you could just put a switch in there. That'd probably be the easiest. So if I were to put a lever right here, this is how I'd call it. In fact, I'm going to do that real quick. So I'm going to just type in lever. And we're going to use the mechanical lever. There we go. And I'm going to say, I actually need to move this down into this scene. And then for fuse link 2, I'm going to turn that off. And this will be JLW fuse started. So let's go ahead and type that in real quick. LW fuse started right here. So I'm going to click back on this lever if it will let me. You know what? I hate you sometimes, Unity. Okay. So all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to attach the script to this, because the script is what I need to be calling. So I'm going to put this here, and the function will just be fuse started. Oh, wait a minute, I need to do something else. We're going to call this public void on command. There we go. So as soon as I flip this, is what's going to happen is it's going to come in here. It's going to call on command. We just need to wait for it to finish. Any day now, Unity. There we go. So we'll come down here. We'll look for on command. We'll do the same thing down here, on command. And now we will drag our camera cutscene to the start marker. And then the camera on the player will be the end marker. The cam that we'll be setting active will be the camera cutscene. Timer, as we said, 2 seconds. Let's go ahead and set the speed at 5. So let's go ahead and save that. Wait for it to finish saving. Basically, once that little asterisk up there goes away, then we'll know it's good. And it is good. So this actually kind of helps me out, because this way I can test everything and see how it looks. And just kind of like go through everything and make sure everything's working and everything's lined up nicely. Come on, Unity. You can do it. Okay, so we're going to go straight to Mechanic 2. So we are getting some weird glitching. No, that camera should be deactivated. Oh, wait a minute. Is that the lever? That is the lever. Why is the lever attached to the player? Oh, duh. I feel like an idiot. I feel like an idiot. So, actually, this script, let's go ahead and... Basically, it's trying to lerp that. I actually need to do that on another camera script, so if I can quit being an idiot for just 1 second, that would be great. JLW cam script. I'm going to move that into my folder. Oh, come on. I swear Unity hates me sometimes. Any day now, Unity. Okay, cam script. I feel like an idiot. So here's what was going on. The code was doing exactly what I wanted, but I didn't. No, wait, that's not it. Fuse started. That was the one. How to explain this? So it did exactly what I wanted it to do. The only thing is that I need this fuse started. Like, I can apply this to the camera. That's not a problem. But I can't have it where it like sets everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy all this code that I just created. I'm going to put this in the cam script, and then I'm going to come in here. Wait, let me save this. Then I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to act like not a dumbass, and I'm going to paste it in, or create a new script for this. So for few starters, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say public cam script, and we're going to say CS. Let's see. Or actually, public void cam call. And so what I'm going to do is say, wait, no, I don't want to do it that way. I actually want to do it this way. I want to create this as a game object. And then I'm going to say cam. We're going to say cam dot set active true. Booyah! So the rest of this is still going to work the same way. The only difference is that this is going to be changed back to start. So this way it'll still do all of this like I want it to, because it's doing exactly what I wanted it. It just had a brain fart and wasn't doing what I expected it to do. Okay, so this object right here, this is going to have our cam script on it, and the start marker will be the camera, the cam. Then we're going to want to go to this camera, timer 2, speed 5. Then we're going to click on fuse started. And, oh wait, this has a fuse started. There we go. And this has camera cutscene, so let's make sure it is the right component. And it is, so we are good there. So we will save, we will test, we will destroy. Yeah. Diet Cola. Now I was wondering what those blocks were, honestly. I was just kind of like, wait a minute, something does not look right. That's because it's not right. Yeah, see, now we're not getting that. So what should happen is I should be able to flip this, and it did not activate the camera. Why not? So let me click on mechanical lever. If you started on, wait, yeah. Cam call. There we go. So it's not quite doing what we wanted to do. Not quite. But it is working. The only reason why this didn't do it, if I were to change this from start to on command like it was, each time I flip that, it would work. So if I were to do cam call, then I'd have to do, let's see, cam.setActive, and then I'd need public cam script CS. Then right here I would need, or wait, let me just type in start, and then right here I'd say CS equals CS dot get component. Really, Unity? Come on. Then I'll say JLW cam script like so. Then down here I'm going to say CS dot on command like so. Wait for this to compile. Then I'll change that right here so I don't feel like an idiot again. Okay. So, fuse started, cam call, fuse started, cam call. Yay. And lastly, we have this one right here. This camera cutscene has our script in it, so this is where we're going to drag it. So I'm going to hit play, and then we're going to test it out real quick. We may have to actually move it to the character container, the other transform node, and by doing that it should go right to where the player's at. I just wasn't sure if that would be the best way to do it or if we need to do it this way. So testing is definitely going to be required with this. There we go. So let's say this is what powers up something. Okay, so that's obviously not going to work. So let's come in here real quick, and we're going to say camera cutscene. The start position is correct. I know the start marker is correct. So now when you say end marker, let's go ahead and move it to the character container. I don't know if that's going to do what I want it to do. Still doesn't. Did I math wrong? Maybe I mathed wrong. Start marker, end marker. Let's see. Yeah, basically, if you're wondering what I'm trying to figure out, this right here is either a value of 0 or 1. So if it is a 1, it'll go to the end marker. If it's a 0, it'll go to here. Anything in between, it just kind of like does in the middle. So I'm going to try it with distance covered real quick. I'm going to let that compile. It's probably going to hate me, but I really don't care. Yeah, don't try to compile a code while you're in gameplay. Bad things can happen, and they have happened to me. Actually, I think that worked. So I'm going to stop playing the game. I'm going to let that ASCOR character container, I'm going to let that go back to the camera on how it was set just a second ago. And I think that is what I wanted to do, was just the distance. So it would just do it by the time. So let's see. Although the other possibility is, I don't know if that's actually going to update the transform of the character's camera, but we will see. Okay, so that's a little jittery, but I mean, it does kind of work. So, what I'm going to do is, we are actually, because now this is no longer a start method group. I should be able to call it from there directly, theoretically. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to. So basically, each time it calls on command, it should set the camera's transform at that point. And in fact, I'm going to scroll up on this. Come on, Unity, you can do it. Come on. Alright, so, my position values have changed. Have they really? So I don't know what numbers I was looking at a second ago, but yeah, I got those numbers way off. So actually it needs to be 3, 7.7, and this will be 122.582 F. So if anyone caught that mistake earlier and you were wondering what the hell I was doing, good job. I'm actually really happy about that. I'm not happy that I made that mistake, but I'm happy that you caught it. If not, don't worry. Obviously I missed it. You missed it, if that be the case. So, but if you caught it, good job. Alright. So let's test this out. We should be able to hit once. Camera goes through there. Hit it again. Camera goes right back through there. Okay, so it's kind of doing what I want to do, but each time it's doing it less and less and less. Let me see my values. Yeah, so my values, I don't know if it's setting it at the proper transform value or what's going on, because it should just throw it right here. So, is what I can do, if I say float starting equals start marker dot position, we're going to say transform dot. No way, I can't do that because that changes on the fly. Sure. Let me think about this for just 1 second. Oh, come on, Unity, you can do it. Okie dokie. Trying to figure out why this isn't resetting back here. It should. These numbers match up. Well, at least they're close. Sure. I'm thinking, you guys. I'm thinking. I know you're probably only going to have one cutscene, but I'm trying to set this up because my friend, he actually has a cutscene where you can rotate an object multiple times. That's why I'm like so focused on trying to get this to work for him. More than likely, he won't have the camera lerping like I am, which I'm going a bit above and beyond with this. But just know that, at the very least, you are always going to come across issues, and it is always a matter of troubleshooting. So for some odd reason, the camera's showing up way out there, and I don't know why. That's because that is where I actually have it. So I want to set this right here, which would be 3, 7, and... What? That is so weird. So 4... Let's see, 4, 14... See, it's almost like it's doubling the numbers. I don't know how else to describe it. But I'm just kind of curious to see what happens here. I highly doubt this is going to do what I want it to do. But you know what? It's worth a try. If worst case scenario is what I'll do is I'll actually create a public variable for the X, Y, and Z axes. And that way I can just enter them right into the inspector. So each time I flip it, I can just slightly tweak it until I'm happy with the result. I really don't want to do that, but if need be, that is what I'll do if this does not work this time. So let's test again. Welcome to game design, everyone, where whenever you think you have an idea for one thing and you have to go and do something else. Ah, there we go. So it doesn't quite flip where I want it to. But I mean, if you're doing a one shot, then that would be perfect. It's just not quite going back to where I wanted it to go. And so basically, you could, I'm trying to think, you could actually create another game object that snaps to. So if I were to come in here and I say create empty, well, now I have an empty object right there where my camera's at. And so is what I could do is actually create another script on here. And so after this plays out, like the very last second, I would actually have it set something to true, and if it's true, then it would snap back to that game position. That would probably be the easy way of doing it. In fact, I'm going to try that real quick. So we already have a public bool called setCam, and is what we're going to do is we're going to say if setCam, then we're going to do all this fun stuff. Else, we will say this will make sense here in just a second. So we're going to say public transform. This is going to be, let's see, I'm just going to call this, I'm still going to call it a start marker, but I'm going to say start marker cam end. And then we're going to create one more. It's going to be called end marker cam end. So now is what I want to do. Says cam end. Did I type that right? Yeah, I typed it right. Oh, that's why. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, before I sneeze, hold on. Boy, that was a sneeze and a half. Sorry if that just blew out your eardrums. I'm going to say 1. So it should snap right back to that. I'm not worried about speed or anything like that. I actually want it to go pretty quick. Now, setCam is going to be set to false. And so is what I'm going to do is I'm going to say setCam equals true dot setActive false. And a lot of y'all who know me, I'll tell you don't ever run anything like this in the update code. In this case it's okay because this will get called once, and then this will get called once, and then the object set as inactive. So in reality it only gets called once. So that's why I'm not too terribly worried about this whole setup. So now is what I need to do is I'm actually going to drag my game object. The game object is going to be the marker end, and the camera, wait a minute, let me make sure yeah, I did. Okay, awesome. And the camera is going to be the start. So if I have done this correctly and I have not flubbed up on it, this should work now, where every time whenever you flip the switch, it should go right back to that position and go right back to the player, and then so forth, so forth. So let's test this out once it loads, because lol. Yeah, I just said that. That just happened. Alright. Pain in the ass, take 2. Okay. So that's a bit of unfortunate unexpectedness. And naturally, the reason why, because I do not have it where it is set true. Sometimes I really feel like a dumbass. Okay. Let's do this again. Actually, something else did happen. If you notice, it stuck right at the player. That's actually more than likely going to be an issue. More than likely. We'll see. I think that's going to be an issue. So, let's go ahead and go back to Mechanic 2. Okay. Yeah, so it's not quite sticking back like it's supposed to. Or actually, before I do that, I'm going to say timer, lerping, Control S. Down here, I'm going to say lerping, Control S. And essentially, I could just say transform.position. Oh. Well, no, wait a minute. Why did that... Wow. Wow. Okay. That was my issue. How the hell did I miss that? I don't know. But I did. That happened. Now, the first time I switch this, it should stick with the player. I'll change the value down here in the script, and then it'll stick to the game object. And for those of you who are wondering if it's normal for me to make this many errors, yes, actually it is. So that goes right there. It's going to stick, it's going to disappear, then it should stick to the player. Good. Now you might be wondering, well, why is that good? Because this is a 0. So once I change this to a 1, and I press E, we'll wait for that to cycle back through. There we go. There we go. As you can see, it is now working. So that's going to do it for this tutorial. As you've seen, even I make mistakes. You've seen how fast I was able to figure them out. Sometimes they will stump me a little bit, but that's the basic principles on 1, when you make mistakes, troubleshooting, and 2, also how to make a cutscene. So it's a very simple cutscene. You can also always come in here and be like, I don't like the timer. I think it needs to wait a little bit more, or I want that camera to go slower. I'm going to go and make this a 3. And then all you have to do is just come right back in here. You can press E, you can test it out, and see how that looks. And, I mean, that's all up to you at this point. So, I hope this tutorial helps you. Specifically, my friend, I'm looking at you. If y'all need any other help with tutorials or anything like that, let me know. I'll try to work with you as much as I can. The only thing about this that I really don't like is the fact that the game objects are outside. Now, one thing you could do is create an empty object right behind where the player would stand, kind of like how I did. So the camera would always go back to that empty game object. And then, you know, as long as the player doesn't move the mouse or keyboard, then it'll be right back at their character. So you don't have to put it in the SCRAPS outpost like I did. I just did this as a quick, I guess you'd say, tutorial, you know, for all tutorial purposes. But this typically isn't how you do this. Let's say you decided to put it in here. You'd basically just duplicate this game object, move it down, let me press F. I'd move that like right about here. You know, somewhere where I knew the player was going to be standing once they flip that switch. And so, you know, you'd call this game object, and that's basically what you'd use to snap to instead of using the player, since you can't do cross scene. So, anyways, I hope this tutorial helped, and I shall see y'all later.